When you think of Robert Hannum, what's the one word that springs to mind?
Funny or hard-working.
I think what stands out for me is his work ethic, because a lot of people don't turn up at track work. It's 5, 6 o'clock in the morning now. In the senior position he is, but he's always down there at Lisa Ladder's barn and doing a heck of a lot of work, and that is returned in kind by Lisa. He's had a lot of success with that stable.
He's just a great fellow that works hard, and he's better than he says he is.
Early life for you? Tell me a wee bit about what it was like growing up.
It was all right. I wouldn't say I've had the best upbringing. When I was, young, I played a bit of sport. I played a little bit of soccer. I was okay until everyone grew and I didn't. And that was at a late age of 5 or 6. And then my parents split. Then things got a little bit tough. It was a little bit confusing at that age.
So this was in Nelson?
This was in Nelson, yep. And then we shifted over to Motueka. And then I went to school there at intermediate over there, and things they were just ticking along. I wasn't doing much, getting into a little bit of trouble, as a young little Mary boy would do. And then as I got older, I wanted to shift closer to my father. So at the age of 12, 13, I just started high school in Richmond, which was Waimea College. So I'd been there for about 3 months, 4 months, and then I was able to get a job at Anton Coleman's in Otaki. And it was a friend of my father's.
Now at this stage, Robbie, there was no horse background whatsoever?
Nothing whatsoever.
No, so you've never laid a hand on one, and further back through the generations, nothing?
To be pretty sure I probably wouldn't have seen one live.
Right. So this was quite a big change. Now, how does someone just go, oh, I'm going to go and work in a stable then?
Well, as I said prior to this, things weren't that great at home.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get closer to my father because we had a really good relationship. And this was the way to be able to do it and keep both parties happy, not only my father, but also my mother. So it eventuated, I went to Anton Coleman's for a trial basis for 6 months. I just turned 13. I started Otaki College, and then I was working in the stable, mucking out, doing feeds, doing waters, and then going to school, and then coming back and mucking out the boxes again, and doing the manes and tails and picking out the hoofs. And that was all right.
Did you enjoy it?
Well, I did. I probably needed a little bit of structure back then, and it probably helped me. It wasn't easy, but I enjoyed it. I was up to the task, and things sort of revolved after that. The more I did, they got me on a pony. Brandy was his name. They put me a little pad on him, and with irons, and they put me out in a big paddock, and he used to just take off and go for the water trough. And as he got to the water trough, he'd just slam his brakes on. And when I could stay on him without falling off, then I knew I was ready for track work.
So there was a few tumbles?
Oh, there was a couple here and there.
Yeah.
But the more I did, the more I liked it. And also going to school, it was getting a little bit hard as well. So that's how I started with Anton Coleman and Stephen Dennett. And Stephen at that stage was an accomplished jumps jockey. He'd ridden quite a lot of big jumps races. So he taught me quite a bit as well.
So a pretty good education.
Well, as well, we used to break in horses, and there was a stud up there. He stood a stallion called Frontal. So he played a bit of a part in my early success as well.
Robbie, so school, when did that finish? Are we talking birthday, 15-year-old, bang, gone? Is that...
Well, they begged me to stay.
Really?
And I had to decline. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I did leave when I was 15.
Yep.
But up till then, Kim was in my classroom, and we got married eventually. But she used to copy off me all the time, And I'm pretty sure that's the reason why she got school cert and UE accredited, was because she
Would you?
just look over my shoulder and just used to go like this. So, yeah,
I'm looking forward to her reaction to watching this show.
I wouldn't probably ask her.
I wouldn't either.
No.
When did the relationship start to flourish?
Probably about 4 years after that, 3 or 4 years after that. Like I was only 13. I just shifted up from down south. I got to race day riding. When I was 15, I had about 200 trial rides, because back then there was just trials all the time. And the beauty back then was you were riding up against, the Morris Campbells.
Yeah,
the
tell me
Greg
about some of
Charles.
those names that you were.
One day, having my first couple of race day rides, and I've yelled out to Morris Campbell, and I told him, "Hey, inside, inside!" Whoa, I got the biggest rip ever when I got back into the jockey's room, because I've just started out and I'm thinking I'm pretty good, which I wasn't, And he says, "Don't you ever call to me inside, inside again." No, Mr. Campbell. Okay, I just went and hid for the rest of the day in my corner, and that was it. And back then, it was a lot of respect, and you gave them the respect that they deserved, because they were really good riders.
Robbie, would you describe yourself as a natural, or was it always going to be about hard work for you?
Well, to be fair, I was never a natural, because I didn't have the upbringing of riding and show jumping, riding your ponies. I've started from scratch. I've had to work at it. I think I've got pretty good now, after 30 plus years of riding. But no, I definitely took time, and the more I stuck at it, the better I got.
Robbie, did you model yourself on anybody, or were there several jockeys you looked up to? Clearly you had the respect for them.
Well, I pretty much looked up to everyone, Greg.
But that's been your life.
It has, and it hasn't stopped. Look, my favourite rider and one of the greats was Jimmy Cassidy, because he was just about to come out of his apprenticeship when I started, and he could ride. Horses just ran for him. He had a beautiful style. He could, back then you could kick. He looked with a horse. I could say, Noel Harris, he had a different style, but I was never going to ride like Noel Harris. Not that I can ride like Jimmy Cassidy, but, I tried.
Yeah. What about your first race day win? Tell me about that and the thrill of that.
Oh, that's just, it's right up there with oxygen, that is. Look, it's a thrill, it's hard to explain, and it's like winning a Group 1 that it doesn't take to a couple of days and you've actually thought, geez, I've done it. Back then it was a lot more competitive. There was a lot more riders. So it was Anton Kuhlman that my first ever ride was supposed to be captain's order, but I picked up a ride the race before, and it was a division race, so there wasn't enough riders. And I think I ran a fair 5th or 6th, and I didn't ride it bad because no one yelled at me, so that's a good thing. And then my second ride was captain's order, which was bifrontal, which I said earlier, the stallion that we stood. He won really impressive. He was a nice horse, and I think he got sold to Singapore.
So you could have been 1 from 1, but you were 1 from 2, but still a pretty auspicious start.
Oh, pretty good for someone that was weighing the scale at about 36, 35 kilos.
I don't think weight's ever been too big a problem, has it, right through your
Not
life?
a too big a problem, no.
No, although later on...
Well, I could tell you, Kim and I, we went on honeymoon to Hawaii, and the first week we were back, I picked up a ride on a quite a smart mare called Shizora in the open sprint at Palmerston here. And the first week it had 47, so can't have been too bad.
No, exactly. So that first season, I think you kicked home 2 or 3 winners. At that stage, was it going to be a career for life? Is that what you felt?
Well, I didn't know anything else. I really enjoyed it. I suppose if you look back, if people could realise, or apprentices, if they only rode, I think, was it a dozen winners in 4 years, they'd probably give up.
And that was you, wasn't it?
That was me. I stuck to it. I really enjoyed it. I liked the people, I liked the animals, everything about the racing. Even now I'm very passionate.
So Anton Coleman for that period, then what happened?
And then I turned 17. I only had about 6 to 8 months left of my apprenticeship, and Look, I never had problems with my spine, but it was curved. I had scoliosis, curvature of the spine. Went to a specialist, and they actually advised me to have an operation on my spine, because after a certain age, like 18, 19, the bones aren't as soft as what they are when you're 15, 16, 17 sort of thing. So had an operation on my spine, took a year off. That was pretty painful. I was the first person in New Zealand, I believe I was, first person in New Zealand to get inserted two steel rods into my spine. And the happiest thing about that was I grew 1.5 inches on the operating table.
Happy days.
So I've gone from 4 foot nothing to 4'1.5".
That must have been tough though, having a year away, and how did the body react to that?
Well, to agree to have the operation, because I was fine without the operation, don't get me wrong, I was in no pain, but there was a possibility I could, as I got older, I could bend over more.
Yep.
So, and there was a 50-50 chance whether or not I could ride again. So,
She was a pretty big risk.
well, there's always a con and
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons, exactly. So I took the chance, and if I come back, I come back. And I was still young. If I needed to try something else, like a labourer's job or whatever, I could come back.
So when you come back, who were you riding for then?
When I come back, Tony Laurie,
Yeah.
he was based in Otaki, and he was there for a year. So I was based with him till I finished my apprenticeship. And then what I did was I signed up with Jimmy Denham, because Jimmy was one of the biggest trainers in Otaki at the time. He trained a numerous amount of winners and good winners. Like, he's a man that's trained an Auckland Cup winner, Queen Elizabeth. He's had a favourite for the Melbourne Cup. Like, he knew what he was doing, and I knew I could learn a lot. What I didn't know was how many kicks up the bum I would have got. If I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have signed up for the extra year.
So there were a couple of those.
There was more than a couple.
Yeah. Did he still give you the boot up the bum when you were with his daughter, or was those days over?
Absolutely. The thing is, from my stature,
Yeah.
I'm always a bit smaller than everyone else, so
Right.
I'm going to cop it. But it was really good. I learnt a lot. He helped my riding a lot, and he was a really good step in the right direction for me as going forward.
As was Kim, and ultimately getting married to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty important day in your life.
It was very important, and my best decision ever. Best decision. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Kim.
Let's just go back to you get married. You always wanted to do some travelling, and travelling's been a big part of your life. Going to India.
Yeah, that was a big leap.
So that's 22, 23 years ago?
Going on
Yep.
23.
Yep.
That was a big challenge, because you're going into a country that back then, well, even now, a lot of people don't realise or understand what the conditions are, what the living quality is like, how big is the racing. But it just turned out a great leap of faith for Kim and myself. And
How
again,
did it come about, Robbie?
Well-
How do you get an invitation to go and ride somewhere like that?
it wasn't an invitation as such. It was an ad in the paper. It might have been in the Friday Flash, where we answered the Friday Flash. They wanted someone that could ride all right, which I thought I could, or I knew I could. That was light. I was light. So I ticked the boxes there, and I was prepared to go over. And again, like, this is why Kim is so good for me. She backed me. She followed me over there. We were there for 3 years in the end, and that was huge for us. We just bought a house in Chadwick Place. We'd only been in it for maybe 6 to 8 months, and then we're gone for 3 years.
So the kids, they hadn't been born at this stage?
No, they hadn't.
No, which again is an advantage, isn't it? That
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. And like, we just went with an open mind. We got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And if it pans out, happy days. If it doesn't, we can still come home, You're still going to be racing in New Zealand. They're still going to need track work riders. So, yeah, give it a crack.
If it pans out, 3 years you were there, and the first 2 years you won the premiership.
Yeah, it did pan out. Yeah, quite nicely too. Seen amazing people, not just Indian, English, Irish, Scottish jockeys. Lester Piggott, like
You got to ride against, the great man himself.
yeah, absolutely. Who gets to rub shoulders against one of the best jockeys the world's ever seen? You know, amazing.
What about some of your success and you won at the highest level there? Tell me about that.
Yeah, there was a little filly called Amul Ratan, which I believe in Indian language, it's priceless jewel. I won the 1,000 guineas on her and won the Oaks as well in Hyderabad. She was like, things just went from good to great to fantastic to unbelievable. You know, each year I was there, things just couldn't have gone any better. You know, I rode for the same owner, same trainer for 2 years. And
Tell me who they were.
the owner was Mr. Rangarajan. He was directing manager of the Hindu newspaper. And the trainer was Jackie Dadiwal. And he was champion trainer before I even went over there. So he had a really good background, and Mr. Rangarajan always brought the best sort of horses and for Hyderabad. And we just clicked. Everything went really well. My knowledge of track work, getting a horse ready, just blossomed. And him training them and knowing what to do for those conditions, it just worked really good. It was like just bread and butter.
So how often do they race? And we're talking a couple of decades ago. And how would a normal working week go for you? And was Kim there the whole time?
Yes, Kim was there for the whole time.
Yeah.
What would happen is track work every morning, 6 o'clock, to about 9 o'clock.
And you're staying how far from the track?
The first 2 years I was staying on the track.
The track, yep.
The first year with the trainer. Kim and I lived with the trainer.
Your first stint over there, you rode over a couple of hundred winners. That took some doing.
Couldn't have started any better. I think my first race day ride over there, the first day was 3 winners, and I just become a crowd favourite.
What were they like? Were they pretty fanatical like they are at cricket? Is it something similar to that?
Very similar, and I hate to say it, but quite uneducated, especially when it come to a favourite getting beaten. They didn't like it. They would boo and they would throw things, and
Quite abusive over the fence?
very much so. And there was a fence. There's a 12-foot high fence there too, and around the birdcage.
Yeah, so they couldn't get near you. Yeah. Amazing stuff. How many people on a race day?
I'd be only guessing.
Just an average.
Probably 5,000 to 8,000, 10,000.
The situation there with the local riders, if there's an 8-race card, you're only allowed to ride in half those. That wasn't the case in that first stint, though, was it?
No, see, I was allowed to ride in all the races. If there was 9 races, you know, I could have 9 rides. I was allowed to ride outside the stable. There was at first a small fee if they wanted me to ride their horses, because you've got to understand, and it might sound as if I'm sort of gloating or you know being big-headed, but the fact remains, because it was such a gambling country, people would want me to ride their horses, so it would make them go out favourite, so they could back another horse.
Right.
And that horse wasn't ready to win. So hence this is why the fee come to hand. So they had to pay me for me to ride their horses, because I was winning so many races, everything that I hopped on, the punters would just back and drop in the prices. And because there's a little bit of niggly stuff going on, and then I've had been put over the rail a couple of times, and I've had apprentices ask me can we pay you off, rah rah rah. That does happen. I just told them flat no, go away. And in the end, I didn't ride outside the stable. I just rode for the stable, because the reason for going there was to do my best and ride as many winners as I could, and that's what I did.
Robbie, what's the level or the standard of jockeys over there locally? Where would you class it? And I don't mean you to be disparaging to them, but
they ride very similar to the English. They use a stick like the English. I wouldn't say they're quite the same as the English. They're good riders in their own right. I don't want to belittle them. They ride adequately. They've ridden winners. Some of them go overseas. I think the guy Trevor, he went to Australia for a couple of stints. He's come back to India and riding. And European jockeys come over to India. So the riding can't be that bad if they come over. And as I said, I rode against Lester Piggott in India, of all places. Jimmy Fortune, Kieran Fallon. I finished a contract for Kieran Fallon in Bombay. So it can't be that bad.
So you finish up there, and we're talking the mid-90s. You come back home, come back to New Zealand. Describe to me how that all unfolded and where you settled and who you started riding work for then.
Well, the reason why I did come back, we just had our daughter Nikita, and one of the horses I rode over there was, they took me into the room and they actually disqualified me for not riding my horse out on its merits, and I got beaten probably a head, half a length. They found that I was guilty. They gave me, over there it was a year disqualification. Back here it was only 10 months, because I only raced 10 months of the year.
Yep.
So Nikita was born. We actually took her over there for the last couple of months. We come home. Of course, I was a
Disqualified person.
disqualified. So I looked after Nikita. Like, she grew up with a dad.
Daddy daycare.
Yeah, daddy daycare. We had some fun. Kim went to work. Like, she works for an accountant's firm, and she was earning good money. So I wasn't allowed near a racecourse or on a racecourse. So after that year, or 10 months, I come back, started riding track work for Margaret Bull.
Did you miss it?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it is what it is. I didn't want to make waves over there. I could have appealed it. I chose not to. Come home, did my time, and then when I come back, Margaret Ball was there. She was prepared to get me going, and then of course I went to started riding work for Lisa Latta, and then Adrian Bull.
Robbie, just going back to that, why did you not appeal it? Was it not a winnable case, did you think, or?
Well, to be fair and to be honest, I'd pretty had enough, because the last year I rode for different owners, and they were betting owners, and like there was always a lot of pressure, and they would bet a phenomenal amount of money, but they had to win. Seconds and thirds, weren't good enough. No. So it was a new experience for me, because I've never been put under that sort of pressure before, and I think it helped me. It learned me how to take pressure. It definitely helped me for the bigger races, especially in New Zealand. I've got a really good temperament. So it sort of boiled down to disqualification. Do I really want to go back? No. Have I had enough? Yes. Let's go home, because 3 years was a long time.
Big, the gambling over there?
Oh, huge.
If you think cricket, you think enormous.
Absolutely. It is amazing. There's only on-course betting. So say, for example, there's a race meeting at Auckland and you're at Palmerston. You either have to go to Auckland to bet or come to the race course in Palmerston. Bookies are illegal, but they still do.
Yeah.
And the corruption is, there's quite a bit out there.
Is it scary as a rider if you're on a favourite, and have you had any incidents that come to mind? Because there's always stories in this regard, isn't there?
There is. Yes, we've had a couple of death threats.
Yep.
Where the police we've had letters in the mail, and the police have come and they've interviewed everyone, taken fingerprints, but that's pretty scary, because you're in a foreign country like that, and death threats, like, you don't expect them in New Zealand, and when you do get them, you take them quite seriously. So Kim was a little bit upset at first, but she
Was that in your first stint?
the second stint.
The second stint, yeah. Okay.
You know, if we allowed a certain horse to win and not let another horse beat us, then you know you'd be going home. It wasn't just for myself; it was for the trainer as well. So it is pretty scary. It's something that I don't like to talk about too much because it's finished, it's gone, it's in the past. But it is still out there.
Robbie, your career has been fraught by some pretty serious injuries, so let's talk about some of those. None more worse than breaking your neck. When did this happen and how did it happen?
Oh, I don't think we've got enough time, mate. Look, it happened at Gisborne. It was one of Gary Barlow's horses. Good friend Gary. I hope he's all well, getting better. Look, halfway down the straight, all I need is an inch. And I've got Bruce Hurd in front of me, and he's got someone outside him. I can't remember who it was. And I was travelling that good. I just needed an inch. And Hurdy sort of just wavered just slightly, his horse moved, and I thought, here's my chance. As you do, because if a gap partially opens, you can sort of get your head in there, and then the horse will sort of run away a little bit. And just as I went in, and I'm on the bit, and this is probably why I broke my neck, because I was travelling so good. Hurdy's horse, he straightened it up straight away within a split second, and I've just clipped one of his heels, and being travelling, tying the bit like that, I've just gone, boom. Lying on the track, and I'm thinking, can't move my arms or legs. There's no pain, absolutely no pain, couldn't feel a thing.
Scary?
Very scary. So many thoughts go through your mind at that time. And Hurdy's come back down after the race, and you know he's on his horse. You all right, mate? You all right? What's happened? I says, I don't know. Can't move. Well, cut that out. And so they took me to the hospital, and they put me in a neck brace and everything, and they've taken X-rays, and this is 3-5 hours in the hospital, as they do, like they're always busy, of course, in Gisborne. And the nurse come back and says, we couldn't see anything wrong. Well, can you try and lift your head off the polo? And I'm going, no, I can't move. So they gave me a scan, MRI. And so that was a lot quicker, didn't have to wait so long for that. And they come back, and they brought me back after the MRI, and they said to me, whatever you do, don't move. It's a lot serious than what we thought. So then I think there was Bruce Hurd and David Walker. Walker was there. And they all come up in the hospital, and they come up into the room, and what happened is they had to put a halo on my head.
Right.
And so the doctor just said to Bruce and Dave, do you mind just leaving the room, because it's going to be a bit of a shock for Robert, what I've got to tell him. Mm-hmm. So, of course, the doctor runs through the what's going to happen and preparation of you're going to have a halo put on. Now, we've got 4 bolts that'll bolt to the second layer of your skull, one here, one there, and directly opposite. And we can only give you a local, but it's going to hurt, and you're going to get a loud sound, and you will get a fright, because they're wing nuts. The bolts have got wing nuts on the end, and they screw into your second layer of your skull, and when they get
I'm hurting now, listening to you.
in, they snap off. So they're screwing, and all I can feel is water running down my forehead, which is blood, of course, and then you hear a bang, and that's one of the wing nuts gone. So I've got 3 more to go yet. So yeah, that Hurdy. I asked if Hurdy could come in the room, and he was holding my hand, and you know, so many thoughts go through your mind, and thinking, You know, I'm thinking, oh, I should tell Kim, you know, what's happening. Like, obviously the boys have spoken to her already, and, you know, what's going to happen once I get the halo on. But they've explained it to me. They said, look, there's a 50-50 chance you'll ride again, but there's a 50 chance that you won't. Well, I've got to take that on the chin because, you know, foremost important is your house. So, yep, I spent a couple of days just looking at the ceiling like that without moving, and I'm thinking, holy hell. There's 32 dots on that piece of ceiling up there. I wonder if I can look out the window over there. And no, I was stuck there for a couple of days, and then they flew me back to Palmerston.
How's Kim at this stage? And how?
Well, she's like a rock, eh? Like, she's really good, and she didn't, you know, tell the kids too much, and she sort of prepped them up for when I did come back. They flew me in a little airplane with my own nurse, and so I felt fairly important that way. Got back to Palmerston, and the doctor comes into my room and he says, we've got some good news and we've got some bad news. And I'm thinking, holy hell, what can be worse? He says, you know, your 3 rods in your back. I says, 3? I've only got 2. He says, well, you got 3 now. I went, oh yeah, happy days. What more can go wrong? And he says, look, it's not that bad.
Why did you have another one? How did that? Did
Well,
one of them break?
obviously, one's broken, and whether it was through the fall or whether it's prior to other injuries,
You'll never know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I says, well, what do we do, Doc? Do we pull them out, or what's? I just presume, you know, one of them will be just dangling there, you know. And he says, no, it's like a steak with a skewer. You know, you skewer into a steak, it's all knitted around, it's all cemented, would do more harm pulling them out than leaving them in there. So they're in there at the moment. So yeah, so everything panned out okay. It was a little bit scary when I got home. You know, the kids come and visited me, of course, and they had to get used to this big lump of metal around my head, and it was a little bit funny when you know, Halloween come and I'd open the door when they're knocking on the trick or treat, and they'd run away. Probably the worst thing, I had to get Nikita. Nikita used to clean my bolts.
Right.
Now, because the bolts are screwed, my skin would weep.
Right.
And the skin would get in the grooves and wind around. So to stop the infection, she'd have to do that every day.
Right.
And pick all the, you know, the scabby stuff off, which isn't nice, but had
Mate,
to
you
be
must
done.
be forever grateful to her for doing that. I mean,
Absolutely.
the other injury you talked to me about, and probably the most painful, when you cracked how many ribs or broke how many ribs?
Oh, I broke 7. 4 of them were broken more than once. I had a collapsed lung, and that is one of the most painfulest things. If you've ever had one, you can understand what I'm talking about. Collapsed lung, I had bleeding on the liver and a broken scapula, with broken shoulder blade.
So that was a race fall too?
Yeah, that was a race fall too.
Whereabouts was that one?
That was at Palmerston here. You know the rail, before the plastic rails come in, the poles were steel.
Steel, yeah.
Well, I ended up getting wrapped around one of those.
Yeah, you don't sort of bounce off them too good.
No. And I reckon it was a horse's fault. He just dodged, threw his leg out to clip a heel just to pay me back for hitting him. Yeah, bastard.
He got squared.
Yeah, even Stevens. I think I'll come off worst.
You've worked with a number of quality people, not just horse people, but quality people. Your association with Lisa Ladder goes way beyond the racetrack, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Look, my wife and I, we've known Lisa for, I'd hate to say it on camera, a long time. She's not only been a great provider for the house, the family. She's been a good friend. Her and Bruce Hurd. She's given me 100 winners. Like, you know, that's 10% of my wins. You know, not many trainers can say that, or not many trainers are able to give that. You know, but she has. And look, I can't say enough about the woman. She's a wonderful person, a wonderful friend, and a great trainer to boot.
Why is it that she is so successful and therefore the winners that you've ridden for her, when they're presented on race day, they're ready to go? What does she do that impresses you most about her training?
Well, she's a whole package. It's not just training, it's to do with people. She's got very good people skills. She's got a very good brain on her. She remembers her horses. She remembers what gallops I've done. She's got a very good mind on her. Training, she's a good trainer. She's look, to me, without being harsh, a little bit soft, but that's her way of training them. She can keep a horse in longer by doing that, and she can get a horse to peak more by doing that.
Couple of big winners for you that make up a fair chunk of that 100-odd wins that you've had for her. Authentic Paddy, one of my favourites. What a grouse horse he's been.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe it. The other morning I was trotting over to the track down the El Harini, see me on Authentic Paddy, which everyone calls him Paddy.
Paddy, yeah.
And she goes past, a couple of the old boys together, eh? But yeah,
You've won about 10 on him?
10, yeah, 10. Unbelievable. You know, in this day of age, how many people can say that they've won 10? Look, unfortunately, I haven't won it at the top level. I've gone very close. I've been placed. I've been won at Group 2s, Group 3s. But Group 1, you know, I just wasn't around. I was in India at the time. But good on Trudy for, you know, she did the job handsomely. But what a great horse.
You must have been delighted for him.
Oh,
the horse.
110%.
Yeah.
I was delighted for everyone, the owners, Lisa and Trudy, you know. Because I won a 2-year-old race on him. And if you see him, he was a big horse back then. A big buffy bugger he was. And like he, you know, without being rude to him, but a big thick bugger too.
Distill, winning you the... Well, it always was the Bayer in my day, but the Levin Classic.
Yeah.
How satisfying was that to win a local Group 1?
Well, if you ask Roy, he'd say, damn excited.
Yeah.
And because of running second a couple of years previous, you know, to win this was just awesome.
He was only lightly tried, this horse.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He won a nice race at Taranaki. He always showed something on the track. He was a really nice horse. For a little horse, he was a strong horse. You know, he weighed about 500 kilos, which that's a big horse weight, and he was like that. He was strong.
I am Ishwara.
Yes, for Tony, the late Tony.
The Otaki Wait for Age.
Yep, I got on that, and it was just sheer luck at the time. And everything panned out. I think Chris might have been offered the ride, and he had to ride Paul Richardson's. I'm not sure whether anyone else got offered the ride, but yeah, I got on him, and happy days. Another Group 1.
Captain Cook with Aid Memoir.
Oh, she was a classy filly, classy mare. Only rode her twice. Was a listed win and the Captain Cook. Fraser Orette, he had her really spot on that day, because she was not really known for good track form, but she won that day, and she won really, I thought, quite impressive, because the turn of foot she showed, she sprinted away and then sort of eased up just before the winning post, but she won really nice that day.
What's it like to win a Group 1? Is it the ultimate feeling once you hit the line, or is it afterwards that you start taking it in and realising that, you know, you've had a couple in India and now 5 or so here in New Zealand, so they don't come easy, do they?
No. As you can tell by the length I've been riding and how many Group 1s they don't come easy. Look, have you ever put on the black jersey?
No, but you've got a blue one on. We'll get to that shortly. That's what you're going to tell me is that's as close as you can
or
get.
Have you won the lotto? Look,
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like, because I've not won lotto. I've not put on a black jersey, but it's right up there. Winning a Group 1, it's right up there. Yeah. How to explain it? I don't think you realise or appreciate it till a day or two afterwards. Especially if you're a jockey that hasn't won a lot of them. But it's the pinnacle of any sport. It's probably like, I can only presume, like winning the World Cup in football. I don't know. It's probably not as good as seeing my kids born, but what is better than that? Hello, Greg.
Let's roll, brother.
Let's do it.
Do you want a cushion?
Oh, I like that. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Service,
That's a bit better.
Wait, man. You're getting up there.
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Tell me about race day preparation. So you ride work as per the norm at Lisa's in the morning. Did you do any for Gary today?
Yes, I did 2 for Gary.
Yeah, couple for
couple
Gary.
for Gary.
Yep.
I only worked 7 for Lisa this morning.
Okay.
Now, if I'm not driving, what I normally do is have a look at my rides. I've already sort of got some sort of idea where they race. I've watched their races.
Yep.
If by chance I need a little bit of a jog my memory, left. My left,
Your left, yeah.
not your left.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same left. What are you talking about? Left is left.
My left.
What's my left?
Well,
Same
just
side
in
as
case you're from down south, okay? Your left is a little bit different.
Yes. So, sorry, going back to your form. Yep.
Yeah, you sort of work out where they race in the field by watching their races. You know, with mobile phones now, you can hook up to the website and watch their races, and then see who's ridden them last start or the start before. If their form's not that good, then you go back a little bit further and see where they've started hitting form. It's probably no different to you when you're doing your form with your trotters as well as your gallopers straight ahead.
Now, talking to a couple of the trackside camera people here, they love it when you're at the races. They tell some great stories about being at the tower at the top of the straight, where if you're at the back of the field and maybe 2 or 3 lengths, maybe 5 lengths off the back of them, you absolutely crack them up. Left here, champ?
Left, yes.
You crack them up, and you've been known to be heard to be saying, "Hang on, fellas, wait for me."
Oh, look, you've got to realise, Greg, I'm a professional here. I don't do those silly things.
Right.
Especially.
So that never happened?
It might have happened.
More than once?
More than once. That is true. Especially, I have done it, but only when I'm out of contention and I am like normally at the trials or the odd time race day, and I'm that far back and I'm yelling out, "Hey, fellas, wait for me!" You know? It's depressing being that far back.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm hearing you.
And I might have said it loud enough for the guys in the towers to hear me, or on the gates.
Well, they appreciate it, I can promise you. They do. They think it's great humour. And humour's a big part of your life. Who are some of the characters you've ridden against? Who are some of the funnier people?
Oh, look, it's a fine line of funny and seriousness. We can all joke. Even Hayden Tinsley can have a joke, you know, which is, you know, that
Rare.
a lot of people wouldn't understand that.
Yep.
But now I've let the cat out of the bag. He is quite a funny guy. Hurdy
Yep.
was a funny dude.
Yep.
He was very witty.
Yep.
Eddie Lamb was probably one of the most
Funniest
oh,
bloke.
characters that, he is so funny.
Yep. But you've got to have that though, and the camaraderie amongst the jocks, whether it be here in the CD or anywhere you've ridden. It's a pretty important part because you're putting yourself on the line virtually every time you go out.
Yeah, that's true, Greg. Look, and I'm glad you brought that up because, it is a very dangerous sport. I don't know many sports that ambulance has to follow you around,
Yep.
Behind you. But at the end of the day, when all said and done and the dust is settled, it's our choice to go out there and do it. I'm not saying that, we don't deserve what we get from it, but we know the risks. Just like a racing car driver, just like a forestry worker, they know the risks, but we still do it. And it's a job we love. So, we're not going out there thinking nothing will happen to you because it's just ignorance.
Racing car drivers have a seatbelt on though. There ain't no seatbelt where you're sitting.
That's a fair call. We got good hands though.
Are the short people further back in the generations in your family, or are you quite simply unique?
I think that's a very nice way of putting it, Greg. I'll go for that.
Go for the unique.
Yep. Unique.
Yep.
I am the smallest out of all of our family. On my
Like
side.
by how much? Like are we talking significantly?
Significantly.
That's a big word, isn't
That's
it?
a big word.
You like that?
I do.
Yeah.
Can I use
You
it?
can use that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Just see if you can get it out.
Yes, that was the trouble, wasn't it?
Mm.
Look, no, I am by a good at least a foot.
How far away from this joint are we?
We're going to go straight through the roundabout and take our first, second, third exit on the left.
That's your left?
That's my left.
Oh.
One.
Yep, that's one.
That's two. The third.
Oh, did you want me to go there?
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Okay.
Well, you carry on this way.
No. Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll
Sorry,
just-
mate.
That's all right.
Mate, poor instructions.
Take the
Lucky you're
third
not a
exit
trainer.
on
Yeah,
your
but
left.
I didn't hear Siri say.
I tell
take
you
the
what.
third.
Rewind
Yeah.
the cameras
Yeah, we
and
probably
play
can.
it back again
Oh, yeah.
and see whether I
Yeah,
did say.
see, hey, it's got racecourse sign here. I am going the right way. You got your own car park here, brother, or what?
Well, we normally slide in there somewhere, but someone's parked there. So actually, drop me off here because I've got to
Yep,
go
you gotta
in
get
and get
going.
my
Yep,
gear
yep.
because I'm in the third.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. You just do your thing.
Garment's got a nice chance. She's got good form. That horse of Evan and JJ Rayner's in the last.
Yep.
Though it was a bit of a blue. They wanted it in the fillies and mares race, but the Burro might have made the mistake of putting it in the other one, the 65.
Yep.
She said there was a reason for that horse not to go so good last start. So they've rectified it, and hopefully she's been working good since.
Good luck, bro.
Cheers, man.
Have fun.
See you on the other side.
See you.
Later, bro.
Well,
That's
that's the end of that.
Onwards and upwards, that's what I say.
Yeah, and at the end of the day,
And when the dust is cleared,
dust's all settled.
dust all settled, and it's all said and done,
Where do you get that stuff from? The name Hannum might seem popular, but your nickname the Pope probably stands out more than that, and guys like T. Lee have carried that dynasty through, haven't they? Must have been one hell of a party, that one, the P party.
Wow, and the rolls just kept on rolling, the punches, I should say. look, I'll even get people just coming up to me. Hey, the Pope. How you going, Pope? Oh, I've got a name, mate. You know, Robbie's my name. But they'll call me as the Pope. And everyone's done it. And, you know, ARA, T-Lee, they've kept the ball rolling. And, you know, it was an amazing party. But the funny
You didn't
thing
know the
was,
significance at the time.
No,
but,
no.
Yeah.
You know, and thankfully I've, you know, memories are a great thing, and to have a photo to remember it. You know, you see Gary Phillips there in a painter's outfit, and my wife Kim, you know, I think she was a prisoner, you know, and I don't know whether you can tell on the left-hand side of the picture there might have been a prostitute or something dressed up, you know, with rags or, you know, and, you know, there were priests there, and I was the only one dressed up as the Pope.
Yeah.
And it was a proper outfit Pope, you know, I had the robe, the hat, everything. Probably the Pope doesn't really drink lime red, but that one did that night.
What about win number 1,000? 999 came up, and it must have felt like forever to get that 1,000th winner, and you were last, and it was at Trentham, and you had to loop the whole field.
It took for ages. And the thing is, and it's only politeness from other people. They go, oh, you're going to win your 1,000 today, you're going to win your 1,000, when are you going to win your 1,000? And look, in the back of your mind, you've got to block it. And that's what sports people do. And that's, again, what comes across, your temperament, your attitude. You shouldn't change, keep doing what you're doing. Look, it was inevitable, it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen. Turn for home, I knew I was going to win it. Looking at how the horses were travelling in front of me and how I was travelling, I just had a gut feeling, even at the top of the straight, I'm going to win this.
And here it comes. Here's the 1,000, Robbie. Oh, look at him go now. And what a wonderful achievement from one of the hardest working in the game. Robbie Hannum racks up 1,000 in New Zealand.
Did you enjoy the ride then, knowing full well the significance of that?
Well, the thing is trying to keep everything in perspective, not to salute too early.
Been there.
I've been there and done that. Yes.
Might be the Hawke's Bay Cup comes
Hawke's
to mind.
Bay Cup, look, the old saluting before the winning post, a stripe before, was the stripes were putting up with it. I pretty much put pay to that, Greg. I'm not going to lie.
How far off the post were you?
Well,
When did the salute start?
Well, exaggerating, I could start at the 200 metre mark. Without exaggerating, about 150 off the post.
Right.
I had it won. He just urined it.
Yeah.
And I knew I had it won 200 metres out. And it was just happy days. And I thought they were 10, 15 lengths behind me. Well, it looked as if they were 10 or 15 lengths. And I'm just cruising, just doing my thing.
Yeah.
So that's when the victory salute started.
Or stopped.
No, it started.
No, that's when it started, but that's when
It
they stopped.
Yeah, unfortunately. But that was just one of those things that a little bit emotional energy gets involved, and, you know, happy days, enjoy it for what it is. Yeah.
Robbie, life's been good. You've always been a happy man. It's been pretty good, hasn't it?
Well, I don't know about life. I think racing has given us this life, to have a good life. Well, like Kim and I will never be rich as in money, but the love that we have around us, the kids, the family, you know, is pretty strong. You know, the great trainers like the Gary Vols that help put our kids through university, the Lisa Ladders that really provided for our family, the Adrian Bulls. I can't say enough about those sort of people and the small people. Like it's always the big trainers get the, you know, escalates, but it's the small people that really help me. You know, whether it's been 10 winners or 5 winners from them, they all add up. You know, without them, I still wouldn't be here today. You know, earning the living that I'm earning. I'm blessed in the sense that I believe I'm like an All Black. I put on the jersey, which is my silks. I go to the track, I ride the horses race day, I get paid for, I'm getting paid what I love doing. Look, I ride track work. You know, this morning I worked 11 horses. I don't get paid for that, but I'll get paid by getting the race day ride. If not, you know, it doesn't matter. But I do that for my mates. and it's just been all about that, enjoying the ride.